cold in the room, and then you climb under the blankets, and you're like, okay.
That's nice too. Except out here, I find that, like in Santa Rosa, it was fine. Like I was like, cool.
I would be dead in Santa Rosa. It's too hot for me.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the coldness at night. But like here, it's just like I can't handle the cold, but then like the moisture, like when your room is so cold that like it just feels like moist, like the cold moisture. It's just, it must be it's just a humble thing. I know it's a humble thing, but I don't know.
Good old Humboldt.
It takes forever. I don't like when it takes forever. I'm trying to invest actually. I want to invest one of those like heaters that you put at the bottom of your bed and just like heats up.
I've seen those. They have one of those. It's a air conditioner too, and it hooks up to a comforter and blows cool air everywhere. That's what I need. Yeah. I'm always so hot. I just run hot. Yeah. Case in point, I'm over here sweating.
Yeah. Do you feel like men like tend to get hotter than women? Like, I know that's kind of like a weird broad thing to say,
how do I answer that question?
But like, I feel like I've noticed like it's always men that are like, oh, I'm so hot, and then like girls are like, no, I'm cold. At least personal experience. I wonder what that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Guess we won't know.
I was gonna say.
I have to ask somebody who
You're not pull the one to ask. No.
Google it real quick.
Google that shit for us. I don't know. Actually, do Google that. I don't know if that's a real thing or not. But I feel like that's true though, anecdotally. Yeah.
Like maybe,
I've never heard a girl that's like, oh man, I'm just hot all the time.
I don't know. It could be like a metabolism thing, or like, I don't know. Who knows?
Well, that's why. I don't know. Actually, I was just gonna make something up. I have heard that's why men have their testicles are outside of their body, is because their body temperature's hotter, or not hotter, but they run hot. So you have to cool those extremities, and so that's why it's outside of your body.
Yeah, you're frying all your little...
Yeah, things. The sun is actually really bad for that. I heard a quote that was like, using the sun is like a nuke to your sperm.
Okay.
Men tend to have a greater muscle mass than women, which helps them to generate heat. Even at rest, your muscles produce around 25% of your body's normal temperature. So more muscle mass means a greater heat production. That's why I'm sweating all the time. I'm just fucking jacked.
It's a metabolism thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I have a very slow metabolism, so I'm just chilling. Like
I do not. I have a really fast metabolism. Internal body temperature of 98.6.
Yeah.
There you go.
That also explains why it's easier for men to lose weight as well.
Yes, right, if you're burning it faster.
See, women's bodies gotta hold on to that. Naturally. We can't lose weight. We can't.
Well, yeah, if you guys have kids.
Yeah, our bodies are
you have another life to feed.
Exactly. We're burning calories like, yo. We're gonna be eating a lot more than we do.
It would be rough. Have you been thinking... I'm sweating over here, dude. I just got hella hot.
I know. You are dripping within like...
My temp will come down here in a sec. Once I just... my muscles are all...
Yeah.
I made the mistake of sitting in the sauna right before coming here. And so I feel like I was already primed. And then now I'm just like... I've got some more shit to sweat out.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were talking when you first came up. And I've struggled with this idea too of being back in Eureka. And I feel like all of us who went away and now we're back... We're in that realm of what the fuck is happening.
Where'd you go?
I went to Oregon for a little bit. I went down to Sacramento, the East Coast, and then ended up here. Yeah,
I'd love to.
Came back here. Has that been hard? Just accepting, okay, I'm back in Eureka for right now. Doesn't have to be forever, but for right now.
I think that's what's helped me is making it known that it's for right now. I've left. I went to Santa Rosa right after high school and came back and was here for a couple of years. And then I went back to Santa Rosa at the very end of 2020. And then I just moved back end of May, beginning of June of this year. It definitely is hard transitioning. Every time you leave, I feel like you're like, okay, I'm doing the thing. Like, I'm getting out.
I've escaped.
I'm never coming back. And then I'm like, oh, here I am. And I think it just became a thing where, things happen. Things happened. My sister, she had gotten a job, because she was going to school. I was working full time. She was going to school. We were roommates. Soraya and I were roommates.
Okay, I was going to ask.
Yeah. So Soraya and I were roommates. She actually moved down to Santa Rosa for me so that I could stay there because my previous roommates, my best friends actually, they were having a baby and, just that we were kind of in that thing where, do we sign a whole lease and like halfway through the lease, you're going to have a newborn or do I, just dip out and go on my own way? Cause I know it's no space and just, my animal and theirs, and it's a lot going on, so.
My animal and theirs.
No, they have 2 dogs. I
Oh, I
had a
thought you
little
were
dog.
referencing the kid they were gonna. I was like, okay.
No, love him. That's not. He's a little monster sometimes, but he's great. Um, but yeah, I just figured, it was a good time. Makes sense to just, jump ship and just, go your own way. So I did, and Soraya was willing to move out there, so it worked out. So we were there for over a year in our apartment. But she got a job, and then ended up not liking it, and then I knew that I couldn't support the rent with just my job because
Shit is
it
expensive.
was so expensive. They had raised our rent like almost $200 within like beginning of this year, and we were like, no, like we can't keep doing this. Like this is too much. So we just said, what, let's just go home. Like it's just a temporary thing, but we'll figure it out. We'll do it, and on to the next thing. But I guess coming home is just how I regroup myself. Mom's always welcoming to us coming home. She's never gonna be like,
You guys can't stay here.
you're grown, get out. Like
Yeah.
to her, like I think because she grew up very kind of like without her parents really giving a shit what she does or where she's at all times, or even really caring about what she's doing in life or caring to support her through anything. I think that's where she comes from, the mentality of like, I'm never gonna like
Do that to my kids.
yeah, like she's never gonna toss us to the side. She's never gonna like, we've never been without or anything like that. So that's one thing, mom comes in clutch for sure. But I still understand, she's even though she's not gonna tell us we can't be there, I think she still enjoyed her space, and I definitely want to just transition out into my own space as well. So
I think it's just hard being in that space, because you live your life as a child in your parents' house, and then you go away, and that act kind of signifies, oh, I'm grown now. I have to
Yeah.
look out for me. And then to come back, it's almost as though those two worlds are clashing. The world of you as a kid and the world of you as this adult, this self-fulfilling person who
Yeah.
can make your own decisions. There's like a weird cap when you move back home. Like, can I
Exactly.
still do this? What are we?
Yeah.
Where are the lines here?
Yeah, I'm just kind of realizing, I felt so pressured. It's like that societal pressures of feeling like, yo, you need to like graduate school, you go to college, or you go on to your next career, or whatever you're gonna choose to do. But then like you leave, and then you get your own, and it's just, when you're younger, and you're like, oh, like 25, I'm gonna like own my house and be married and like all this shit, and I'm like,
CEO
oh, shit.
of
I'm
business.
like, I just turned 24, and I'm like. I'm like, I'm still broke. So, I think as far as like, figuring out what you want to do career wise, and I'm constantly just wondering like, oh, what's for me? I go to school, I've gone to school so many times and just dropped out. I keep going back, but like, I'm sure I'm going to go back again. I'm just trying to figure out like what for,
What's going on there? Have you just not found what you like? Nothing kind of reaches out to you.
I just don't like school.
Understandable.
I just don't like it, And I think at this point, yeah, you gotta do general ed for a lot of things, but I'm starting to feel kind of like a trades type of person, some kind of like, certain like, specialty skills or something, but I just don't see myself like I don't know like of a degree or anything that I'm just super hungry for right now, And I also know that I don't have a lot of hands-on experience with a lot of things. There's a lot of things that I have not done, and I'm kind of at a point where I'm just like, you know what? I've been trying to apply for medical field type jobs. I'm thinking about maybe going medical field. I've constantly contemplated that over and over again, but because I hate school so much, I'm like, well, that doesn't really
That's a lot of school.
doesn't go
That's a
together,
lot of
does it,
school.
Raine? So I think that I just need to get a job kind of in that field, in that area, even if it's just, like something to do like with the medical office, just to like see how the environment is, how they operate, what they're doing, if there's something that interests me. But I think that, no matter what I want to do, school is going to have to play a factor in it. And
Why do you think that is? Is that just the societal pressure of you have to get a degree? Because it seems like you don't want to go to school, but there's that tinge of, I should probably go, I should get a degree.
And I don't necessarily mean like for a degree, even just for like even like a certification or something, but it's going to involve some kind of classes that are involved, some kind of homework, But it's at the same time, I also, it could be. I think it is the pressures, and I think it's just kind of like ingrained in me a little bit. Like, not that I really like I truly don't really like care if I get a degree or not, but I think there's that slight little bit of me that like thinks if I get the degree, you know, somebody will be proud, or it's like that title I can say I did it, and somebody, people just unfortunately like want to listen to you more, or like you seem more valid to them when you have like that title of, I have a piece of paper because I suffered for 4 to how many freaking years doing shit that I'm not gonna do shit with. I know so many people with the damn degree and they're not doing shit with it.
Case in point, I'm sitting right here. Yeah.
So I'm like, my sister, she's got hers. She's like, damn, I don't know.
I think that's a lot of people. I
My
think a lot of
boyfriend,
people.
he's got actually my boyfriend and my sister have the same exact degree, and they're both kind of just like, you know, he's managing tap rooms and she's just doing her little side hustles independent because she honestly, I don't think likes having a boss, and that's totally understandable because I don't either. I think that's another thing for me is I like my time. So if I'm gonna be on a schedule, constantly going somewhere, reporting to somebody, like I gotta really like what I'm doing, And I'm just very indecisive. I'm all over the place. Like everything sounds so interesting to me, but then I just get so overwhelmed. I'm like, how do I start this? Where do I start? And it just becomes so overwhelming. It's almost like it's like mental paralysis. Like I don't know how to explain it really. That's the only way I can like explain it.
Too many
It's just
choices.
so many things to do, and it's like I just get so like mentally overstimulated with everything that I'm just like I just need to sit down and
I
like
just need to take a breath.
not do anything. Like my thoughts make me tired. So yeah, that's something else I struggle with that I'm trying to get past. But I'm just one day at a time for me. That's been the biggest thing for me lately. Is just move a little bit forward one day at a time, because that's what's getting me through it right now.
Listening to you say that, I'm really starting to think it's just our generation is just wired that way. I don't know if it's because we had the internet when we were still relatively young, and so we saw the possibilities, we saw what was out there, and it was just too much. There's too many choices now. There's too many things to do. We want to do so much, and there's not enough time. And we feel the societal pressure of our parents from, you should do this, you should check these boxes, you should be this way when you reach this age. And we're over here still trying to figure out, what do I want to do with my life? Because you see people that are fulfilling a purpose and doing something that they're really passionate about, and you look at that and think, man, I just want to feel that way about something.
Yep. Yeah.
And how do you find that needle in a haystack? It's exhausting.
So exhausting. Yeah. Especially when they're like, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. And I feel like they put a lot of pressure on us.
I think a lot of it
things
is
that they never even like
unconscious,
they couldn't even comprehend.
Though. Yeah.
They don't mean to, because they just want, everyone wants their kids to be great, Well,
yeah, nobody wants their kid to be a loser.
Yeah, whether it's, because they really care about their kid, or it's their own selfish, whatever, to say your kid wasn't a piece of shit. But it's a lot. I'm like, do you guys just take a step back and like think about like, could they do that? Like, would they be willing to do that? What they ask of us? Like, I feel like they just don't even like consider, well, a lot of the work or what things are like for us these days. Like, it's not the same.
They're from a different world.
Yeah.
I mean, when they were born to when we were born is a different world. They didn't have cell phones in their pocket 24/7. They didn't have access to the internet all the time, every day. They didn't see everything like we see it. It's just a different world.
It's a completely different world. And
I think a lot of that pressure comes, they were kind of on the tail end of that technological revolution, or at the beginning, and that they had the pressure from their parents, and that's the way the world was. You did go get a degree, and then you got the job, and then you got the white picket fence, and then you had the family. But look at us.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about minimum wage, and the rise of inflation, and all these things, and the student loan debt. And then you can't even get a job in the field that you want.
Like, you can't.
Like, I'll just go back for my master's. Well, then I'll go back for my doctorate. And then you hope something happens.
You hope that somebody gives a shit. Meanwhile, somebody's out here climbing power lines and shit for like a salary you would dream of, And that's why I'm just kind of, back to school. Why?
Yeah,
uh,
why?
yeah. So that's the big thing for me. A lot of stuff is just why. Am I happy with this? Like, am I okay with this? Am I settling? Like, am I truly like all right with living the way I am now? And I know I'm not, but like it's more so just are you okay with the pace that you're going at? Like, what is the right pace? Like, what is right for you? But it's like only you can answer that. And I feel like I always find myself constantly again comparing myself to other people and what society thinks people should be doing at my age. And just gotta remember that it's not the same for anybody. Like, it's so important. Like, it's so like cliche really, but it's not, because it's the truth. Like, it's so different for everybody. And just it's so important, I think, to just show everybody a little bit of grace and just be a little like understanding that we're not all moving the same way. And you cannot expect that from anybody. You can't expect anybody to understand what you're going through, same way as you can't assume anything about what anybody's going through, because you really don't know how the same thing is affecting different people, because it affects them differently. um, so that's a big thing that I've just been like 2 months ago. You should have seen me. Like, I was just a wreck. Like, every day I'd wake up, like, I don't even want to get out of bed. Like, I just want to, you know, get high as hell and just like lay here, because like there's no point. Like, I don't want to see people. Like, I don't want to risk seeing somebody them ask me what I'm doing with my life, because it's just gonna make me cry. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, you know what? Honestly, I'm not doing shit other than just trying to make it and trying to be happy. And I'm okay with that. And I know this is not all that's in my future. I know there's so much more that's going to be happening for me. And, if people look at me and they think, oh, she's not doing enough, then I just say middle finger to them, because I could give two shits what they think. I'm just moving at my pace, and that works for me. So,
It's hard to come to that realization,
yeah. And I have to
but it's
remind
an important
myself,
one.
but yeah, it's hard. It's not easy. Easier said than done. But, I know that I'm I'm making that small progress, and whether it's not big enough for others to see right now, that's okay, because I see it, and that's all that matters, because I'm the only one that's going to keep me going. I'm the only one that's going to get my shit done. So that's just where I've been trying to leave it. So yeah.
Well, it's hard. Finding out what you want out of life and what you're passionate about is a hard thing to do. And I think that's the biggest thing, is most people just settle. And then they're trying to pass on advice about how to be happy and how to find what you're passionate about. And I mean, at least personally, sometimes I'll find myself in a conversation thinking, you're not happy in your life, and you're trying to give advice on how to be happy or what to
Yeah.
do, and it's what do you do with that? I'm gonna take your advice and go down this path knowing what's at the end of it, and that's not great. I mean, it's not a happy picture,
Yeah, I know.
and it's just propagated in that weird way of,
Yeah.
we're just gonna pass this idea down,
Yeah.
and you can do the same thing.
Yeah. I so it's important that I just, yeah, I'm like, what is happiness? I don't know. It's different for everybody. So if you're happy, you're happy. If you're not, then keep trying to do something till you find what it is. Sometimes it's not exactly a clear path. It's not a clear path.
It'd be nice if it was.
Yeah, it's not even, it's sometimes you're hitting reverse, going backwards before you realize you gotta, oh, you took,
You're
come
on the
back,
wrong path.
wrong road, turn around. It's one of those things where you just have to just find, there's happiness, and I guess there's happiness in other, like, every place. And there's gonna be good and bad moments. Happiness is a temporary feeling. It comes and it goes. Same thing with everything, I feel like. Happiness, sadness, success, rock bottom. Like, life's is a fluctuating thing. And we feel a lot of things as people, and a lot of things are overwhelming at times. But the biggest thing is it's temporary. You know, um, Nothing lasts forever, good or bad. So just being in the moment is really important. Um, being able to accept, you know, if you're in a shitty place, understand that, and you know, understand it's not gonna be forever, and you know, it's an opportunity to learn things about yourself, what you don't like, you know, who you don't like, what kind of people, you know, obviously don't work for you in your life. And obviously just trying to you got to surround yourself with people doing things that you're looking for in your life, you know.
How important is that?
So
Just
important.
being surrounded by the right people.
Yeah, I'm just learning that one, you know. So
That's a hard lesson.
it is.
Yeah, that's one I'm still
It's a very,
trying to
very
figure
hard
out.
one, especially because you like, especially when you're such a like a loyal, loving person, and you know you want your people with you there for the ride. It's like it's typical. You don't want to leave your people behind, but like you can't make them go with you,
Some people don't want to go
and they'll
with
hold you
you.
back, and you'll start to realize there's people that don't want you to go ahead, like you know they become not your friend real quick because you know you're making moves that you know they can't see themselves doing, or they envy you for that, and it's like you say you can do this too, but they don't want to put in that work. They just you know they want somebody to be miserable with, and I'm like, well, what do you do with that? You gotta go because it's so important to really have people that are gonna stand behind you or stand with you and like keep pushing you forward. But those that are trying to hold you back really will do that, and they don't want to see you succeed. They don't want to see you be better than them, and it's unfortunate, but those people are everywhere. Even unintentionally, people do those things. You know, I don't want to say these people are bad people and they have intentions of wanting to hurt you or tear you down, but they also just don't know how to move forward right now, or they're clearly not in the right headspace. So you have to, sometimes there's not really a bad reason, like they're not a bad person, but they're just not for you.
They're
And
just not going where you're
that's a
going.
hard thing for people to understand because it's like, you know, yeah, they didn't do anything really wrong to you, but they're not doing anything to benefit you. But they're not feeding, you know, they're not pouring into you, and they're not doing anything to help you grow. So yeah, it's just one of those things where you got to be able to just pick yourself. You got to put yourself first. And that's a huge thing that I struggle with. I'm a very about my people kind of person. And I sometimes put those blinders up knowing damn well that I shouldn't be doing these things because it's not benefiting me. It's taking away from me, my energy, my time, you know, and yeah, it's just it's a struggle. It is really a struggle for me, but I'm
Because, like you said,
realizing,
you want to bring your friends with you.
yeah.
That's what we all want. We all want, when you have friends and you're doing well, you want to lift them up with
Mm-hmm.
you. And unfortunately, there are those people. And I don't think it's really intentional. I don't think they
Yeah.
want to pull you back.
Yeah.
I just don't think they can see it.
Yeah.
And so you have a friend that's doing great, and that jealousy, for whatever reason, starts to build. Maybe like you said, they want to do what you're doing. Maybe they just don't think they could do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so, well, if I'm suffering, why are you out here having a great time? Why
Yeah.
are you working this hard? Life sucks. Come down here. Let's have life suck
Yeah.
together.
Let's
Because
just
then we
be
can be in our
comfortable,
discomfort. Or comfort, yeah.
comfortable in our misery together. And yeah. But yeah, growing, you hear it all the time, growing is not a comfortable thing to do. It's just
It
not.
shouldn't be.
It's, yeah.
Do you feel like you're grown up? Like, if you thought about what a grown up was when you were a kid, do you feel like you fit that mold?
See, if I was like little, like 12-year-old me looking at someone that's like, oh, like I'm 24, like somebody that would like watch you in the after school program or something like that. Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's an adult. But, like, I'm here now. And I'm still the 12-year-old girl. I'm just in this big ass body that just grew. And I'm just sitting here like, what the hell even is, like, nobody, like, you just don't have your shit together. Like, it's not, you're always, I don't even know.
Here's the question, though. Does anybody have their shit together?
No.
Is it all just bullshit? Because it feels that way sometimes.
I think it's just a big competition of who can convince others the best that they do. I think growing is forever. Growing is an endless thing. You're constantly evolving. As humans, it's in our nature that we never are satisfied. There's never exactly enough for us. I think that is our downfall, is that nothing's ever enough. There's never enough money in the world. There's never enough compliments. There's never enough, anything that you can get from somebody that makes you feel good. That's the one thing I feel like that humans just can't get enough of, is what we feel benefits us. And I just feel like there's always gonna be something there. Like, as a human, whether you're so rich or you feel like, there's people that are content, there's people that do, practice gratitude and all those things, which is very important because it helps, ground you temporarily. But even those people, you know, sometimes, they're not enough for themselves. What can I do to be better? I need to be this. I need to do this. And I think that's just, in our nature to this constantly need more, So yeah, no, it doesn't, I don't think anybody really has it all. Even if we do, like, we have what we need, we have necessities, we have what we need to, like, live. But the mind is crazy, and the mind's always telling us, no, more, like, we need more. And personally, I like, that's just how I feel, like, just talking with my friends, my sisters, like, it's always just like, what else can we do? Like, I feel like I'm not, like, the biggest thing that I hate, like, I feel stagnant in life. And, like, right now I feel like, so, like, I feel like I'm at one of those points where I'm not doing enough. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, but what is, like, are you feel like you're not doing enough for you, or are you feel like you're not doing enough because those around you think you're not doing enough, or you're scared those around you think you're not doing enough? And then I'm like, why do you care? Like, do we really need to care about that?
But we do. We
But
do care.
we do care. And it's like, now I'm always like, but why? Like, why? Like, what is it that we care about exactly? And I think it's just what people like. For me, um, I don't like, no, and I think it's not just me, but for me, I feel like I can't stand people like thinking that I'm like a failure, or like I find myself constantly comparing myself to my sisters, and like they were super academic, like super just on their shit. Like my little sister, like super high, like 4.2 GPA, like graduated high school, like boom, like she's in college, loves it, like so good on her classes. She does so many like extracurricular things on top of like just doing her schoolwork, and like works, and is always going out and doing all these like adventurous things. And I'm just sitting here looking at her like, damn, like how the hell do you do this, And yeah, I just feel like, oh, like I want to be like more like them. And then I realized they're always telling me, oh, Raine, like, you're so talented, like you do so many things, like you know so many things, like you really are so gifted, like you just don't even realize, like you don't even see it. And it's like, well, I guess not, because like I really, sometimes I don't, like I think they're crazy. But at the same time, like I know there's a lot of great things about me, but at the same time I don't know how to like accept that. Or I feel like, no, like I feel like I'm always trying to like humble myself, but like almost like to a fault. But like, why? Like
There's a
to
point
a
where that
point where
becomes
it's like,
detrimental.
yeah, to a point where I'm so mean to myself. And like the voice in my head, that bitch is gnarly. Like,
Puts up a good fight.
yeah, like she's
Now,
so,
what do you think that is? Because again, it sounds like I've only ever heard these sentiments from people in our generation. And I don't know if the people above us just don't talk about it like we do,
yeah.
or
I
never
think
really experienced it.
that's a huge thing. I think that we're more open about it. Um, but for me, I feel like that maybe if, like, it's almost like maybe it's easier to just say no, like you're not good at it, than to
Try and fail.
try. And that's the thing for me is I hate like you doing like I like doing art and like artwork, all this kind of stuff, like little crafts and things. And my sister's like, oh, that's so cool, like why don't you like do this, or you could do something with this. But I'm like, no, like it's not good enough, it's not ready, like no, I don't want to share this one. And it's just one of those things where it's like, nothing's gonna be perfect on the first try. Like I'm like, you're just learning this, like you're just trying to do this, you're just getting out here, and you're trying to like do something. You're not gonna be great at it the first time. shit, not even the second, they're not even the 20th time. Like you're just not going to be great, you know? And it's one of those things where I have to learn to be comfortable with not being great. And I just don't know how to do that. I'm trying, but I always get myself, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this today. And I'm just like, no, no. And I just talk myself out of everything. Like, I could have been doing, like, if I would have just started something like 6 months ago, like, there's things I've been thinking about doing like 6 months ago, a year ago. And I'm like, if you would have just started, you could have been like a whole year's progress, like that much more improved. But no, because you sit there and talk yourself out of doing something. And for why? Over someone's opinion that doesn't even exist?
It doesn't even care if they did. Even if
Yeah.
you value your parents' opinion and you're worried
Yeah.
you're going to upset them, it's your life.
Exactly.
Do you really want to live that trying to
Yeah. And
please?
I'm always thinking, I'm like, all these people, I'm like, I literally could just, like, yeah, we could die any moment, right? It's like, and what? Nobody didn't give a shit about what I was doing, like, on my own. Like, nobody cares how I was spending my free time. At the end of the day, like, they're just gonna be like, oh, damn, like, she's dead. And I'm like, I might as well do something that I want to do. I might as well do something that made me feel good. And yeah, others may not like it, but as many people as there are that don't agree with what I'm doing, there's that many who do, you know? And, whether I do this, if I do something, you know, one thing and then do another thing, like on both sides of whatever you decide to do, there's always going to be an opinion against what you're doing. No matter what you're doing, somebody's not going to like it. Somebody's not going to agree with it. And I'm just trying to really like come to terms with that and just be like, it doesn't matter. Like, what if, like, if opinions didn't exist or if pressures didn't exist and none of that was even like a factor in anything, what would I do? What would I be doing? But it's so hard to just like imagine that shit doesn't exist.
Do you have an answer for that? Like, is there something that comes to mind? If you thought about anything you could do right now, your ideal life, what would you be doing? It's a loaded question.
So loaded. I'd probably just be painting and making ceramics in my own little studio while making holistic medicine and getting stoned and gardening all the time. And I would just be living that little happy life. And, if I, make money off of, doing some things that I like here and there, cool. But obviously, like, I have, like, I would work a job. I don't know what that job would be, because, money's important. Just fortunately, you need it in this day and age. So, um, yeah, I really don't know what it is, but I feel like I spend so much time I'm so worried about what I should be doing, about what society wants me to do, that I don't even give enough time to really think about what it is that I fully want to like do. I haven't even had time to really fully find out what makes me happy, but I also don't give myself time to just do things because of like, again, the pressures of people wondering like, oh, like, why are you doing that? Like, you should be doing this. You should be going to work. Like, you should be having a job. Like, you should be, all this shit. And it's like, I spend so much time thinking about how do I, do these things that I should be doing that I don't even give myself time to just pick up an activity,
And
a
actually do
hobby,
something.
and just, yeah, I just don't give my time to, I spend too much time thinking and not doing. That's what I do. I think too much and I don't do enough. And it drives me nuts, but it's just a cycle that I get stuck in and just really trying to break that. And right now I know that the place I'm in now is just like, I don't have like really like a set area. I don't even have a place to think. I don't have anything. So I'm just trying to get that. I'm gonna get that dealt with, So it's just again like that one step at a time. Um, right now, yeah, the biggest thing that I've been dealing with is trying to um, work on like de-stimulating. I don't know if that's a thing, a word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to de-stimulate like my mind because I'm just so overwhelmed. So I'm trying to just kind of like clear it out, clear my mental, just get in a place where I feel like, okay, you know what? acceptance. You know, we are where we are, and it's fine. You know, where we are right now, it's okay. It's not, you know, we're not necessarily where we want to be, but definitely, you know, far from rock bottom. And I'm just kind of coasting up, I feel like. I'm just kind of just trying to progress on a way that I feel is right for me. Um, do I really know what that is? No. Do I sometimes wake up and pretend that I'm just good? Yeah. But, you know, it's better, you know, even if I just get in the habit of just going, even when I don't want to, you know, it does get a little easier. It does, you know, eventually become habit. And that's the biggest thing, is just the hardest thing is creating habits. It's pretty hard, as easy as it is to create them. I feel like it's just so much easier to create those bad ones. But good habits, that's what I'm into. I'm into just trying to make good habits right now, and that's the thing I'm on right now. It's just good habits. Get up early. Even just starting my day early, you know.
That's a huge bump to your day.
Yeah.
If you can just wake up early.
Just waking up early makes you feel like, oh, you know what? Damn, I got all day today. Like, let me do stuff, you know? So that's just what that's the stuff I'm on right now. It's just trying to get up, do stuff, even like one thing different, trying to get myself even to just do something out of the ordinary. Things I don't do a lot. Like, I struggle with going places by myself.
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
Be alone in a public space.
Yeah, it's so awkward. But it's not.
I went to the movies one time by myself, and it was weird. It was weird until the movie started, and then you can kind of zone out and you're like in the movie. But showing up to a movie by yourself is weird. And there are people that go out to eat by themselves, just sit at a table, completely content, like a psychopath. Just eat dinner by yourself.
And it's funny because I can't remember what I was, but I think I watched like a video or something. And these people are like, oh my god, like that person's eating by themselves. Like, I want to go sit with them. And like they got up and they like went and sat down. They're like, oh my god, like, hi, like I just saw you sitting here by yourself. You know, I just thought I'd sit with you. You know, I never want to see anybody, you know, alone. This person's like, I'm fine.
Yeah, get out of here.
Like,
I don't want any company.
They're like, I'm fine. Actually, just wanted to have a meal by myself. So, and I was like, wow, like that just goes to show like people really just struggle, like just so like they just depend on like people's company, or like they don't. And it's honestly, it's to escape themselves.
Codependency is real.
It is so real. Oh gosh, it is so real.
How many people are codependent? That'll fuck your life up almost more than being surrounded by bad friends. Is being in a codependent relationship.
You're almost so desperate to where like even those people that you should not be around are okay to be around, because at least it's just somebody around.
You have some company.
Yeah.
You're not alone. You don't have to think about your bullshit or what you're doing wrong. You can just be absolved in this
friends,
person.
Especially in relationships. Like,
relationships are the killer.
I was so bad. Like, my first like relationships, I was just so like anxious. Like, I need to be with them. Like, I need to be around them
24/7.
And I started to realize, like, you know, some of them it was because, like, you know, definitely did not trust them, rightfully. So bad. I should have left. But it's also just depend on, like, you know, I just like felt like missing out. Like, also just feel like you're missing out. And that's another thing too. Like, I spend too much time like scrolling, you know, on your phone. Because, like, God forbid you like miss something like on the outside world. But then I'm like, all this is bullshit anyways.
You're not even experiencing it.
I'm like,
you're just seeing it.
I'm just seeing it. I'm like living vicariously through these people that I don't even fucking know. And I'm just like, wow, like their life looks so good. But then like some of these people I do know, you know,
like, this is
and they're posting the same
life.
thing. And I'm like, well, damn, like if this is them and these people, like, you know, that could be so many people. Like, you know, you really don't, you know, they're only sharing what they want people to see. Of course.
Well, there are those people that are crying on Instagram and Facebook, and that's like, a lot.
But those are those people also that want to see, you know,
the attention.
Yeah. So
I die a little inside every time I scroll past one of those. They're crying. And they're like, only my friends really know what's wrong.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm unfriending you. I can't have that.
I was like, I can't
life.
Scroll past the shit fast enough.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, yeah. Last thing I want to do is cry in front of the whole world.
People have gotten weirdly comfortable with just putting, and here I am saying that, doing a podcast, right? I'm full of shit, but just putting whatever out on. If you see me crying on the podcast, there's a problem. Yeah, it's time for me to stop. Yeah. I think I'm done.
Go ahead and
I think I'm done.
cut that one out. Yeah.
But it's just, I think people want to feel connected. And any way they can get that connection or any way they can get that validation of, oh, people care about me. I'm not alone. It all ties back into that, just not wanting to be alone.
And you gotta be careful because then there's those people that act like they care because it makes them look good. So I'm like, you really never know. At the end of the day, I just kind of, it's kind of cold, but you just gotta I just live the world. Like, nobody gives a shit about my problems. Not that, like, they don't sympathize with me or anything, but at the end of the day, like, it's gonna be like, oh, like, it'll be okay, but they're moving the F on with their life because they got their own issues. And I totally understand. Because I know I got a shit ton of my own, so I can only imagine, like, and I've always been that person, I gotta make sure, everyone's okay, I gotta be there for everybody. But I also became, like, toxic for myself because I don't talk about my feelings. Like, I'm the worst person. Like, it takes me a long time to really just open up and finally be like, okay, look, this is what's wrong, because I'll just hold it in. But I'm also the type of person where I'll hold it in, but you'll clearly know something's wrong with me because my body language and everything is telling you something very different. So, it's just one of those things where I've just realized, it's okay to communicate. It's okay to, express, how you're feeling. But it's also important to understand that, again, those are just temporary feelings. Emotion, it's all temporary. It's not forever. If you need to cry, you need a moment of pity for yourself, take it, but then, move on. Pick yourself up, and because you're not going to get better unless you obviously address what's wrong with you. You know what's wrong with you, you spoke on it, now what to do to fix it. And that's, a really big thing. It seems so, like, simple, like anybody would understand that, but, like, so many people just don't understand that. And especially adults, especially, like, our parents, like, because they were taught, like, oh, you're, like, what are feelings? Just, like, move the F on. Like, it's okay to address it. Like, no, like, address that shit, Like, obviously something's wrong. Like, it doesn't, just because you said it's fine does not mean it's fine, Like, if something's fine, like, yeah, like, talk about it. It's okay to address you have feelings. It's okay to, like, cry. It's okay to do those things. Just, don't let it consume you, obviously. And the best way to, like, not let it eat at you is to release it. And it's a big thing for me. It's like, I release a lot. I do cry a lot, but you know what? I laugh a lot. And it's because I just express my emotion. Whatever I'm feeling, I just let it be. I just let it happen. And as far as, like, talking to those around me about what's going on with me, I've started to become, like, more, like, okay with, like, like, yeah, I'm not fine, but, like, I am fine, right now. Yeah, things, aren't as great as they could be, but, it's not the end of the world. I'm just a human. We're all just humans. So feelings come and go and problems come and go, and acting like they don't exist isn't good, but also acting like they're everything. And
That's the most important thing, is how you
just,
feel 24/7.
Yeah. And so it's like, it's finding that balance. That's what life is. Life is just chasing balance in everything for me. And yeah, it's just like a it's like a teeter-tottering scale of, I'm gonna jump off a fucking bridge to, like, I'm on cloud 9,
How relatable is that?
It's like it's just one of those, yeah, life is grand though.
It can be.
Like,
life can be a beautiful thing if you let it.
Yeah. Even just, I try, even when I'm sitting there sad, or, like, I'm like, what the hell's wrong today? Like, this is crazy. At the same time, I'm like, you know what? Like, you're sitting here in this place. Like, I don't even know, like, what even is this? Like, we could really get weird, saying, like, what is Earth? What is all this shit happening?
Oh, we're going
like,
in.
Like, what is, like, where are we? What is happening? Are we the only things out here? Are we that full of ourselves? Or you're like, are we really it? But there's no way in hell we're just it, So it's just like, live life as best as you can. Like, it's just so much pressure to be like, oh, you need to be doing this. There's no, that shit needs to go out the window. Like, there obviously, like, yeah, there's things you shouldn't be doing, like violence and killing people and all that shit. Like that, we can definitely be without that. You
I
know
think
what I'm
that's safe to
saying?
say.
Like that stuff, like, yeah, let's not be doing that, people. But other than that, like, whatever, like what, like who told us that we were supposed to be doing something like a certain way? Like who makes the rules? I want to know who the head fucking honcho is of planet Earth and human beings that are telling us like this is what needs to be and that's, or you're doing it wrong. Like how is somebody going to tell me I'm doing my life wrong? Only I can tell me that. Only I can feel that. So again, back to like people's opinions and shit. Why am I even letting people's opinions that I don't even exactly know exist yet, like, control what I'm going to do or the decisions I'm going to make in my life? So that's just, yeah, it's one of my kind of, what the hell? Like, why are you even sitting here stressing about things in your life not being done a certain way? If it's not, like, if I'm okay with what I'm doing right now, what else matters? Like,
And yet, even saying that, you're probably still going to stress out about it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Stressing about, like, people wondering, like, is she serious right now? Like, this is one of those things where, it's a constant, it's just a constant cycle. Like, you're just, if you let it, consume you, you're going to be consumed by it. And it's just trying to, like, check yourself. It's just constantly being self-aware. Like, you have to just know, how do I feel? Like, how am I doing? How am I doing, as far as what's acceptable for me? And as much as, like, that's all that really matters, it's even harder remembering to just, like, that's all that matters. It's hard to, like, tell yourself that's all we need to worry about, when reality is like, no, like, there's a shit ton more you need to be worried about. When reality, it's like, it's all in my head. It's all our minds telling us these things. And yeah, it's kind of just like a mind fuck every day, just wondering about all these things.
Oh, you're awesome, Andy. Gracias, man.
So yeah, I find myself, this is my head all day.
Well, I think talk. I just don't know, because what you're saying I find extremely relatable. Spot on. Especially the part about the idea that nobody's coming to save you, that you have to be your own savior. You better figure it out and, pull yourself up, because nobody's going to come along to do that for you. That's like an embodiment of my day-to-day life, is just looking at myself like, get your shit together. Figure it out. Like, nobody cares. Yeah, it's a hard day. Yeah, work sucks. Yeah, you're going to do this. Yeah, you're going to do that. Do it, because nobody's coming. You can talk about it all you want, but if you don't actually take those steps, you're going to be here in 20 years. That's my biggest fear. It's just being in the same spot in 20 years. Yeah. And I don't necessarily mean work-wise or your physical place in life, but just the idea of not doing what you are passionate about. Like, you're going to be doing the same thing that you hate 20 years from now, living that same life, having those same regrets, carrying that same baggage, because you didn't try, because you guessed that you'd fail, so you never started. What?
You sat there for 20 years saying, what if somebody doesn't like it?
And you're not getting those 20 years back. What the hell? Like, that time is gone. You're putting money into a bank account you don't have access to. You're not. Yep. None of that's going to pay off. Yep. It's a weird time to be our age, because you can see everything. You can see people partying on yachts, people, driving around in Bentleys just having a ball, and then you see homeless people that are everywhere, struggling and don't have it figured out, and we're somewhere in the middle of all that, and not feeling like we're enough in that spot.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel like I'm on the brink of, like, one decision could make me that
could end your life.
Driving the Bentley, or
you're gonna be shooting heroin.
I'm like, fuck, like, God forbid, but but yeah, it's.
And the funny part is it's not that drastic. It's usually not just one decision that fucks up your life. No. It's a series, but we feel like it is one. Like, should I take this leap? Should I try to make my art and sell that and go down that path? But what if I fail and then I'm homeless, and then where's the heroin? Yeah. Oh, gosh. I think, to be fair, I think a lot of it, at least speaking for myself, is self-imposed. I'm living at home with my parents, and they're always like, why are you stressing out? You're okay. You're not going to be homeless. You're going to have food. You have a place to stay. You have a roof over your head. Why are you so stressed out all the time? I'm like, this is just my life.
You're like,
I'm just
I'm not
stressed
even worried
out.
about homeless. I'm worried about being here forever with you. It's like, you're like,
That's
I love
it,
you,
man.
but
I gotta get I think, again, speaking for myself, it's having your own space is huge, and it's hard to do that when you feel like you're in your parents' house.
Even struggling, just knowing, it's like Soraya and I, our rent for our apartment was $22.63 a month.
2-bedroom, 1 bath.
2 bedroom, 2 bath.
Okay.
Yeah, we had split. We
You guys had that. You each have your own bathroom.
Yeah, it was like split perfectly. Like her room, bathroom, my room, bathroom, kitchen, living room, like in the middle. But man, that's like,
That's a lot to pay per month.
Not including utilities. Then we got internet.
Not including food.
Not food. Luckily, I worked from home, so I wasn't driving around a lot. But I was eating. You know what I'm saying? So it was so nice. Just we had our own spot. I had my room. And like the biggest thing for me is not even room. It's the fact that I don't even have like a kitchen to be using because my mom's a baker and the kitchen is always occupied, and I don't have I love to cook. So having my kitchen back and having somewhere I can just, throw down and just make bomb food and just be in my element, like that's what I'm so looking forward to. And it's, I feel it's all gonna come back. And yeah, it may not be like my ideal, like my own space. Like I'll still, be in someone else's house, but I'll have my room and I'll have a kitchen and I'll have places to think. I'll have places to, recoup and, go out into the world more prepared and feeling like, I'll just feel ready to face the world, honestly,
And it's almost like you're hiding being at home.
Yeah.
Like, you should be out there doing something, but you're not. You're kind of held back.
Yeah. And it's hard. In my mom's house, like, no internet, and I don't get phone service over there. So while everyone's got U.S. Cellular at the house, right? I don't have U.S. Cellular. Because U.S. Cellular doesn't exist outside of Humboldt County, I swear. So
even in Humboldt, services.
Yeah, but like everywhere else, the other phone services don't get signal. They do. So my mom's house is one of those places, and so yeah, about since the beginning of this year, pretty much. Anytime I'm at the house, I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I can't even apply to jobs online or do anything because there's no internet for me to use. And
you're really isolated.
Yeah, so I'm sitting at home. I'm like, okay. I've acquired about 20 houseplants since coming home. There's really nothing else for me to do except play in dirt and read here and there. So I've gotten a lot of houseplants, which I realized was just another form of retail therapy for me. So there's just a lot of things that I did pick that up, but I've been wanting to get into gardening. I've been reading books about gardening and homesteading. I really want a homestead, my ideal thing. I keep going through my life. If I could really tell you what my life could be and I'd be very happy with, just being an artist, stay-at-home mom, gardener lady who heals her family with medicine that she made, because I'm just, I think plants and, plants and food are medicine. All that, that's what the body needs. That's what originally...
Talk to me about this holistic medicine, because that seems to be it's an important thing to you.
Yes.
Did that come from the weed?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
No, it just came from, I really just drinking teas and just vitamins and, supplements, and me trying to be natural and just knowing how all the extra preservatives and things pumped into our foods, and then thinking about big pharma and that became a huge thing during the pandemic hitting, how much money really they were just wanting to
billions.
Oh god, just knowing I'm nobody. I'm it doesn't make sense that big pharma's making all this money. They get their money from sick people, and it's do you really think America wants people to be healed and perfectly healthy? Hell fucking no.
Well, and you really think that big pharma cares?
No.
We went from everyone accepting back when the opiate
medicine
epidemic
pays them.
They knew with the opiates, they knew that they were addictive. and they knew that people's lives were going to be ruined,
Mhm.
and they said it'll be good for the bottom line. We're gonna move ahead with this, and then suddenly people started thinking that these people were virtuous and these companies were incredible and amazing things and would never do anything wrong.
No,
What?
I
Did
don't trust
everyone
anything.
start smoking some crack in between, 2019 and 2020? Like, what happened here? What train did we get on?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just thinking. I was like, I don't want to be relying on. Like, I was like, if I like, we can prevent like they like our food here is killing us.
Do you know about the plastic in your food?
Oh, there's too much. I don't know. I don't know the numbers or
I think
anything, but
it's
it's so. It's like
something like the average American eats a credit card size piece of microplastic a week. So a credit card
a
of
credit card's worth
plastic.
of microplastic.
Yep, a week. A week.
That's insane.
How crazy is that?
I'm about to just become a filter feeder. Just drink off water. That's about it. Like that's how I feel because
Well, we're definitely the idea that we're not just completely decimating the environment and our food system is
yeah,
laughable.
like between like obesity and then cancer and the way Alzheimer's is really taken off over the years, I just feel like
Well, even obesity, you can't even talk
you
about
can't.
that anymore. Are you fat shaming, Rain? Is that where we're about to go in this conversation?
No, I'm not.
But that's what happens as soon as you bring up, and
But
it's not
I'm gonna
even.
tell you what, I won't fat shame somebody, but I'm gonna shame their cardiovascular system. All right, because like when it's just it's hard. It's hard seeing like like you feel like you look good. Hey, do you? But I'm gonna tell you what don't look good: your organs, and that's just a fact.
Well, it's not the fact you shouldn't shame people. I
No,
guess that's what everybody says.
yeah, no, no,
But the idea we're gonna promote this as a healthy lifestyle that
no. There's no way to promote. There's no way to promote it as a healthy lifestyle. It's not healthy, but I'm also not gonna treat anybody less or disrespect them because they're choosing to live a life that they're okay with. You know, it's just finding it's that understanding of like, people can try to get really nitpicky like, oh, you're saying this, you're doing that, like that's so wrong, that's rude, and I'm like, either that's your insecurity showing, because at the end of the day, I didn't say anything to you directly to be like I could give two shits less about what you look like. I really could, but for me, it's about if I know you could be like, yeah, okay, the healthiest person in the world could get smacked by a freaking semi truck at any moment, but that's such like a small chance that like that's here nor there. Whereas if like it's guaranteed that at some point at a certain size and like when
when they
you're
start
that when
calling
you're
the
that
crane
unhealthy
in,
when you're that unhealthy, like okay, here's the thing. Okay, how about this? When you're so damn big you can't walk on your own two fucking feet,
when you can't get out of bed,
that's a problem.
that's cause for some concern.
That's a
They have those
problem.
show. Have you seen those shows?
Like God,
My 600-pound life.
like bro, I'm
And
sorry.
they're craning people out of their homes because they can't carry them out. They can't get them out of bed.
I'm like, you can't even take a shower. I'm like, when you have to take sponge baths the rest of your life, like that's like no.
What do you think causes that?
I think it's mental health. I think that's the biggest thing.
Mental health.
It's got to be a mental health thing. I mean, a lot of these people say like, oh, like I love my body, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, I feel like if you walked up to most of these people, and I'm not saying all, but I feel like majority of them, if you walked up to them and you said, with the snap of my fingers, I can make you healthy and thin or like fit, they're gonna take it.
Everybody's taking that.
Fuck yeah. There's just no way that they're not. Like there's no way like you're content not being able to breathe after you took 10 steps. I'm sorry, but there's no. And like people can get mad, and I'm sure there's gonna be people, if they were to listen to me say this right now, be upset because they feel a certain type of way, or like nobody wants to hear like somebody doesn't like something about them. But it's not even that. Like I can't. Like I don't even know these people. Like people don't know you. It's just it's a matter of fact, and it's your health, and the fact is the human body isn't meant to carry that much excess fat. Okay, you don't need that much. Like that's stored energy, like resources that you're not using, and your body is suffering now.
And the strain that it's putting on your body. the strength. That's when I
I'm like, I
realized
know you're hurting. Like, I know they're
it
hurting.
can't feel good.
It
If you're
can't.
600 pounds, the weight of that on your joints,
People,
especially on your knees.
there's people that have literally, that big. They take a couple steps and they step weird and break their damn leg because they can't support themselves physically. Like when your own body cannot support itself, that's a problem. That is a problem.
What I've never understood is how you get to that point. I understand putting on a little weight.
Yeah,
That's
and
not
I
hard.
get it. Like I fluctuate. Like I've probably gained like 15 pounds since the end of last year.
Listen, I can kill a whole family-sized pizza by myself. I know how to get down. Like it's
Like don't
not.
get me wrong, I eat.
Food
Sometimes,
is good.
yeah, and then
The
there's
idea that
times where you eat food, and it's like it's good, but like it's a temporary feeling. Like growing up, I struggled, and I still struggle. I struggle with binge eating. Um, Compared to my sisters, I was the very much bigger one. They were pretty skinny growing up, always have been. And me, like you've known me in my younger years, I was bigger, and uh, it's like I used to fear like I would eat in like large amounts. Like I wouldn't eat in front of people, and then in privacy I would just eat large amounts because like I was like like I want to eat now, I want to enjoy what I want to eat because I feel like I can't have it, and when nobody's looking, it's like fair game. Like like
eat as much as you want.
anything in my path like was going in my mouth. So I was like it was bad. But then after I sat there and it's like you just feel like shit.
Hold on to that thought. I want to talk about that because that's a big thing, and I don't know if it's predominantly amongst women that feel that way, but I've heard that sentiment of
Oh,
just not being able to eat in public or eating small portions or
it's
just getting the salad and then diving in when you're alone. But what did you pull up here, Andy? What do we have? See, look at that. And not making fun of this guy, but that
no.
we're watching Stephen John Asante falls off golf cart. Oh shit, Andy, what are you doing? So we're watching him. He's on the back of this golf cart, and he's down. And he's down. It's like, how do you address that though? Because people get very sensitive about weight. And again, if you're just like 10, 15 pounds overweight, 20 pounds overweight, it's not the end of the world. But don't you want to be able to move your body and to just get around? Like be able, if something happened and you needed to run a mile, don't you want to be able to run a mile? Or
Yeah, and the thing is like I think about that all the time. For me, it's like it's not even about looks. It's just it really is for me. It's health. I'm like, especially as a woman, I was like, if somebody were to attack me or something, like, am I strong enough to defend myself? Am I fast enough to outrun them? Would I be able to? It's also just like the factor of like like I hear it all the time, and like God, I'm the worst because I don't work out like I should, and I should, but I try my best, eat, generally like a pretty set, standard diet, not too much of anything, I'm all about moderation. Like I'm trying to eat for like my lifestyle. I'm not trying to, hop on the latest trend because it's just not
just chicken and rice
it's not
six
ideal
times a
for
day.
me. Like I'm just not gonna do that, It's just those things. It's like use it or lose it type thing. Like when you just things deteriorate when they sit, like think of steel, like that shit sturdy, strong, but like it's sitting there not being used, not moving. It's gonna start rusting, oxidizing, and crumbling away to nothing. And that's really anything. Like you don't use it, it's it's gonna disappear. It's gonna deteriorate. It's gonna just not work. And that's the human body. Like if you're not gonna move it,
Kiss it goodbye.
yeah, so it's
That scares the hell out of me. Because it's so easy. Food is so good. And it's made that way. It's made so that you want more.
mm-hmm.
And everyone wants to just eat donuts and pizza and
It's
pasta.
it's also convenience because there's a lot of healthy. If you're willing to put in the work, there's a lot of yeah, it's not the healthiest, but you can still have a donut, and it
Not be the
Be a
end of the world.
better, it could be a better donut. You can make a healthier donut, but it's still a donut. It's still going to have sugar. It's still going to have carbs. It's just about control. It's about understanding that like food is good, but like it's going to be there. And that's why I also feel like growing up, like as a child, it's so important how you like kids see food. It's really important the image that you put in their mind about like what they can have and what they couldn't have. Like I think those parents that tell kids, "Oh, like we don't eat sugar, we don't eat this, we don't eat that." I've known plenty of kids that have fallen victim as an older age of becoming healthy or addicted to like sugar really bad because it's something they couldn't have when they were young, or like they're so they're like, "Oh, I'm an adult now. I don't need to like eat what my parents told me I need to eat." And they just develop this like crazy, like unhealthy addiction to like these awful foods because they were never able to have them, and they're trying to rebel and do what they want because, oh, it's so good, and they can't believe their parents would never let them eat this. And now it's like, yeah, like I understand why your parents didn't want you to eat it, but like that fear of like, also like parents saying, I don't want you to be fat.
That's how you get bulimics.
You can't have this because you're
It's
fat.
crazy.
And for me, that's how I became a binge eater.
Yeah, so talk to me about your relationship with food when you were a kid.
Like when I was younger, I was so my sisters and I, we all like, we have different dads. So off the bat, like genetically, like we're all, pretty different. Like our builds, how we look. And Soraya was always super skinny, high metabolism, just scrawny little thing. And me, I was just, I wasn't a fat baby or anything, but as I got older, I got bigger because I held on to things. I had a slower metabolism. I was naturally way bigger than her, and, the thing is like we didn't eat any different. Soraya and I, we always ate the same snacks, we'd always eat the same everything, but she was just skinny and I wasn't, and it became one of those things where, my dad, he would, when he was younger, I guess he was like a hefty kid. But like in his adulthood, my dad was like became a bodybuilder and like super like hardcore gym rat, like weightlifting like crazy. Like he was a fit man. And he would do things like call me out or pull me to the side and say like, "Oh, you can't have that." Like in front of like other kids, like in front of other people. Like when my sister, I remember one time he came and visited us. I was in 6th grade, and it was Soraya was her orientation for Zane Middle School, and they do like, oh, after your little walk through orientation, we have ice cream in the cafeteria for everybody, and like I just instinctually knew in my head, I was like, no, like I don't want to eat that ice cream anyways because Dad's here. But before I could even like make that decision for my own, he looks at me, pulled me over, he says, you don't need any, just like that, And in my mind, I'm like I knew that. Like, you made that very clear. Like, I instinctually already knew to, like, understand that. But your need to, like, continuously call me out. And I just looked at my mom, and she didn't say anything. And so it's to a point where I just started, in private, crying to my mom. And I said, Mom, like, why do you let him say that to me? Like, it's embarrassing, and it hurts my feelings, and that's unkind. But she, like, I was a bigger kid, and she understood that, but for her it was he said it for her, and it was just, she would just comfort me in privacy, but like wouldn't call him out on it type thing. And and that's just like many stories. That's just like one story of many occasions that he did that to me, and I understand now why he did it.
Yeah, but that's not the way to do that.
But that's not the way.
That's not even close.
Not the way to do it.
I mean, not only does that fuck up your relationship with food, but you just have this ingrained idea of it's important how other people perceive you.
Yeah, and not only that, it's like now I'm sitting here like the age of 11, and before that 10, 9 years old, thinking, I'm obviously bigger, I'm fat, right? And, here's this adult grown man telling me that I'm fat. And like as a child, like now I don't get to just have everyday child worries. Now at this young of age, I'm concerned about how my body looks to other people. And it was very hard. It's still very hard. And even just being a woman, like, I'm already susceptible to, and like, don't get me wrong, I'm totally aware, like, men have, like, body, insecurities, and, a standard, oh, like, they feel like they need to be fit or ripped and stuff. But at the same time, it's still not quite as aggressive in society as it is for women. Because there's plenty of, like, bigger guys, and it's like, whatever, because it's like, you have a title, or you have some money, or like, you just, I feel like it just doesn't matter as much. Whereas women, like, we're looked at for, like, literally, like, the biggest thing for women is their appearance. It's how attractive are we to society? How sexually appealing are we? And to have to feel, like, so aware of that at the age of, like, 9, it's like,
That's a lot of pressure.
it's a lot. And then to feel like, okay, like, I can't eat these things, or like, what am I supposed to eat? And it's just little things too, like, growing up, like, oh, like, I went to the doctor, and he was like, oh, you're a little heavy, we can just switch up your diet. But it's like one of those things where, instead of, like, the whole family, like, switching, like, their lifestyle, the way they eat, it's like, oh, they would just switch out how Raine eats, and then
Single you out.
continue to eat however they wanted to eat in front of me or around me. And I'm like, how do you think that's gonna work out? How do you think that's gonna go, telling me I have to eat, like, a bowl of fucking spinach and vinaigrette while y'all eating top ramen? You know what I'm saying? Like, and they expect me to not want to, like, get a snack in after hours when nobody's around. It's just one of those things, like, it's still accessible. You just kind of, like, it was just taunting, and it was hard, and it was just, like, I just didn't like myself. I was like, yeah, okay, like, I'm funny, cool. Like, everybody likes to talk to me, they call me an old soul growing up, or, I was, always wanting to hang out with the adults, and I was just, everybody just, I was lovable, I was likable, but I wasn't attractive, and that shouldn't, but at the same time, it's like, why is that even, like, a thing? Like, why does it bother me? Like, I'm so young, like, why is that even something that I'm aware of now? And I think that, it bothers me still. That's a lot of stuff that I'm still getting through. But yeah, no, it's hard. It's hard to, especially, like, now, like, you get older, like, I didn't really have, like, a way of, like, I wasn't, like, really aware, like, how, like, detrimental that was to, like, my mental, like, and, like, my well-being.
That pressure around food.
But yeah, it's a lot. So now even now, like, I get kind of, like, part of me sometimes, I'm like, oh, do I, like, really, like, want to eat that? Should I eat that around people? Does it matter? I shouldn't eat too much. Or, like, I've gotten a lot better, and I think that's why I also liked cooking a lot, and I've gotten into, that's helped my relationship with food, I feel like. It being more tangible, me being able to, in my adulthood, be in total control of what I decide to put in my body, how much of it I'm going to eat, how much I think is enough for me. And I think that's really big for me. Gosh, and I don't really, like, think about it till now. I didn't really realize it, but yeah, like, I think that's, like, a really big reason why I like to be in the kitchen, and because it's healing for me in a way. So yeah, I think but yeah, the relationship that people set with kids that they should have with food, there's definitely rights and wrongs as far as, like, how to go about that. And
Yeah, I think we can agree that that was probably not the best way to
yeah.
handle that.
So,
And it's
yeah.
ironic because kids aren't grocery shopping. Kids aren't, they don't have any autonomy over what they're eating
Exactly.
for the most part. Yeah.
Yep. And it's crazy because it's like, yeah, I feel like, there was a way to go about it, and that was not the way. But, I know there was no bad intentions. It was just, I think, that desperate concern of, my child is heavier, and he was a heavier child,
That's probably where a lot of that came
and
from.
he didn't. I think he didn't want. He also, he didn't live here. He lived on the East Coast. He was very much so present and very active father, and but my mom, she is, we kind of just, she likes, my mom likes sweets, and her growing up in her household, my grandma has a horrible diet. Like my grandma was, drug addict, you know, not always cooking solid meals, hated vegetables, you know. So, those are just things, my mom's trying to figure it out. And my mom, loves vegetables now, introduced a lot of vegetables. I love vegetables, but, still like a lover of treats. And like, especially in like that time, like I feel like when we were younger, like the snacks and everything that they were coming out with, that just seemed like regular snacks, but really it's just like candy, you know? The way, yeah, the
Oreos.
way snacks were back then, like roll-ups, gushers, like all that kind of shit,
Fruit roll-ups. Oh, how good were
so
those?
good,
Oh, man.
But yeah, it's just, it was just different. Like it wasn't,
None of it was real food.
yeah,
It's not, it's not
yeah, but it
healthy
was
fats
normal.
and
Like it was normal to
protein.
find like, in a kid's lunch, like back in like 2003, you open it up, you see like Doritos and like Rice Crispy and a fucking peanut
Well, a
butter and
school lunch is
jelly,
what? A
or a
PB&J and pizza?
Lunchable. You get a Lunchable on top of like some freaking
A
last
Capri
night.
Sun?
Yeah, yeah,
You're just eating garbage.
yeah. So like people get all like, oh, these parents that like feed their kids all this like only tofu and all this shit. I'm like, who cares? Like, because if they're cramming like 6 Rice Krispies down their child's throat, you'd really be mad. So it's just one of those things where I think food, yeah, it should be taken serious, and it definitely should be like, I think for me, like if I had kids, I definitely want to be feeding them. Um, it's definitely going to be homemade most of the time. Like if I can reduce, for me, it's about reducing like prepackaged stuff. But that doesn't mean like no sweets. That doesn't mean, you know, like none of the good shit. No, like, crunchy snacks and things. It's all about texture eating and flavors, but it's just the amount of prepackaged stuff, I think, is the
Moderation.
caution. Yeah, and
Everything in
moderation.
moderation.
Always moderation. So I think it's another thing. Like it's talked about, but at the same time it's not.
Well, especially now. There's
Yeah.
not that push to educate people on what happens when all you're doing is eating processed carbs or not having any protein and healthy fats in your diet. Nobody talks about that. And if you start talking about it, you're fat phobic. And
Yeah.
we need to exile you from the community.
Everything just
Everybody's so on edge about everything. And I think we were talking about this. I don't know if we were talking about this yesterday, but the idea that it probably comes from a compassionate place. These people probably do care and they want to get rid of bullying and to help people feel comfortable in their own skin. But it's misplaced compassion.
Mhm.
Let's teach people about their food and where it comes from and what it means to eat a healthy, balanced diet.
I was reading that and something. God, I wish I could remember the book so I could acknowledge the person that wrote it. But just there was a segment in it. It was about gardening and how she brought this. She started a gardening program at this school, and how like these kids just didn't have a lot of access to good foods, didn't have access to healthy foods at that, and just like kids that just wouldn't even like think about touching a vegetable because ew. But then when you know where your food comes from, and like when you're part of like sourcing that food and like growing your food, and it's so hands-on, that whole process, like from beginning to end, like from putting it in the ground to it like ending up on your plate, like there's something like special about that. And just even just like homegrown homegrown vegetables off the bat, like they just have more flavor than store vegetables, like mass produced. They just do. And also just having that ability to just know like you grew this, and now I can eat it, and it's I gave it life and sustained it so it could grow, and now it's giving me sustenance and it's helping me grow, and like that full circle kind of thing, like that really helped these kids that she noticed like change their perspective on food and how they just loved the vegetables. And at first she said she would give them like some with some like dressings to like dip it in. Eventually they were just like eating leaf lettuce plain because they just loved it so much. And like just like how she saw these children's mindset towards vegetables and the way they eat change drastically just because they got to be part of that process on knowing where their food came from and what it does for them, and just getting to be like part of that whole cycle. She said it just was like really incredible to watch, and how awesome would it be if that was more common, and how much better like how much like better health people would be in, like just being part of that. Like I don't know, I just feel like that's also why I'm like just being hands-on, the hands-on process, being part of it. And I really think that's important and should be talked about more.
Oh,
And
absolutely. We're
I thought that
separated.
was pretty cool.
We're
Yeah.
separated from our food in a
Mm-hmm.
weird way, and probably more so than we've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows how to butcher a cow, or how to skin an animal. And we just go to the grocery store and there's our food packaged, placed nicely in this plastic container, and that's
Has no connection. They have no connection or emotion or feeling to anything about where it came from or how it was sourced. And that's also like for me too. I just think about I just had a thought. Hold on. Like, yeah, so even just starting with that, we'll start with that. Like the meats in the store, like I think about like I'm one of those people where I kind of, I think about energies. I think it's all very transferable. I think it's a real thing. I think when you're not part of cooking your food, or like you just don't know where it's coming from, or like I think your food, it matters what you're putting in your body, down to like who cooks it, even like what people are putting into your food energy wise. I think about animals, like mass product, like butchers, and all
factory
that.
farming.
Factory farming. I think about, okay, so there's these animals. They got chemicals and fear, like they got hormones, all this stuff, very much so present in their body. Then we're over here butchering them, but like that stuff still gotta be like in their body, like in the meat, like I think that's gotta have some kind of weird like effect on people, like your meat was like this living thing. And like don't get me wrong, like I'm a meat eater, but I definitely prefer like small locally sourced, like
Grass fed,
knowing like that animal lived a good life.
cage free.
Yeah, like was well taken care of. Like if I can help it, like I'm trying to get like the best sourced I can get. And knowing that like you're eating a cow that's been like this close together with like other cows fear laying in their own shit and piss, and it's like you're gonna get it's butchered, it's scared, and then you're just eating its meat, and it's like you're putting all that, whatever that cow was feeling, anything, I feel like you're consuming it. And like that's also like a ew to me, like that, like I feel like that really is not, that's not healthy.
Well, even more tangible, the antibiotics and the
Yeah,
hormones they're
the
pumping
hormones,
into it.
and that's, yeah, and
That's
that's
what
like
freaks
another
me
thing.
out.
That's a huge thing, especially for like just like as a female, for me.
Well, birth control is a big. Somebody was telling me the other day that, and
Oh.
I knew this on an abstract level, that birth control is not good for hormone levels at all.
No, I don't use birth control. Hell, no. I used to be on that shit.
When you were younger, were you on it? What does that do to you as you're developing? You're just
I don't even
artificially
know.
controlling
I don't even
your
know,
hormones?
but I know it did something. I know it did something.
Something like messed you up in some way?
Here's the thing. When somebody tells me I can take a pill every day for 3 weeks and then stop it so that I do get a period, where I can just
Skip your period.
skip the placebo week and continue on for the next 3 week cycle of the pill and just keep going and just never ever fucking bleed. Like that's crazy to me. I'm like, so you're telling me I just keep taking this pill, but it's totally safe, but it's literally stopping my body from releasing an egg and going through a menstrual cycle. Like, that's not right.
Well, aren't there hundreds of different types of birth control with different levels of hormones?
Probably, yeah.
Can you
I'm not
Google that?
super.
Pull that
I'm
shit
not
up,
super. To be
Andy.
honest, I'm not super into like. I don't read up on it because
You're
I don't. Because I'm just like
it's out of your life.
because it's cut and dry for me. I'm like, it doesn't matter how much of how many varying types there are. It's the fact that it does affect you hormonally, and that's enough for me to be like, hell no, hell no. And there's other birth controls, forms of birth control that don't affect you hormonally, but that's like IUDs. And I have so many horror stories from friends and stuff where theirs gets falls out, it gets lodged in the side of their like uterine wall, cervix wall, or whatever, um, floating around in their body. It like, no thank you. Like, I don't, causes scar tissue. There's people that they put one in, now they got build up a scar tissue, and now they're reproductive organ damage. It's just so invasive for our bodies, just for why, so like someone can nut in you safely, like, no. Like, I'm sorry, but like, sorry, that's not.
No, that was perfect. The way you
Like-
said that, where you're like, so what? So you could just nut freely? Like that's what we're doing here?
Come on now.
It's, what do you have here, Andy? The shot hormonal, an injection given by a medical professional of the hormone progestin in the
Yeah.
arm or hip that lasts 3 months and prevents pregnancy 99% of the time.
Yep.
Less than 1
That
out
was
of
like
100
Depo.
women
That's
will
the
get
Depo
pregnant
shot.
each year if they always use this shot as directed. What is that doing to your body? The vaginal ring, a flexible ring that is inserted into the vagina each month for 3 weeks at a time. It prevents pregnancy 99% of the time. All of this shit is 99%.
I used to do the pill, and I switched to the
The pill, go down to the pill
Armbar.
section there. A pill that should be taken at the same time every day for maximum effectiveness, which is often used to reduce cramping and bleeding during periods and that prevents pregnancy 99% of the time. The pill releases hormones, progestin only or a combination of hormones to stop the ovaries from releasing eggs and thickens cervical mucus, so it is difficult for sperm to enter the uterus. Google if there's multiple forms of the pill. I think there is. I think there's a lot of variety in that.
Oh yeah, there's so many different.
But do we really know what doing that does long term? I feel that way with these SSRIs.
The thing is they say it's fine long term. Oh yeah, you can cut. But the thing is people stop taking birth control, and there's like a period of where like your body still is adjusting. Like, it's not just like, oh, you quit, like it's done. Like, people say, oh, don't skip your pill because, like, I skipped the pill and I got pregnant. I'm like, okay, yeah, but at the same time, that's not that common. Like, it's a lot to get your body back in balance, I feel like. Even just, like, yeah, like, your hormones, like, that stuff, it takes a while to adjust. Like, say you're on birth control, you're taking a pill. Say you take the pill every day and you've been on that, for like, 3 years. You think you're just gonna, like, quit it and get pregnant in a month? Like, I just feel like that's not, like, reasonable. Like, I feel like there's no way in hell you've been pumping your body with the extra dose of hormones for, like, 3 years. And then, like, you're just gonna be like, oh, and I feel like that makes, like, the people decide, oh, we want to have a baby. Like, let's try. And, like, they get off birth control. And then they're just, like, starting this whole, like, nightmarishly long process of, like, oh, like, I can't get pregnant, like, what's wrong, like, I don't know, like, I'm not on the pill anymore, like, because, like, your body's, like, I feel like your body's in shock. Like, it's not, I don't know, like, it just, honestly, the idea of birth control, like, grosses me out.
I don't know if I read this or if somebody was telling me about this, that people have gotten off birth control, been married, wanting to have a baby, gotten off birth control, and they're no longer attracted to who they're with, because the hormones in the birth control can alter that. So someone that you might not be attracted to, you can kind of get tricked into being attracted to them through the hormones in birth control. I don't know if that's true. That might.
Well, it depends. Like my sister, she did the Depo shot, like years ago. She's like, never again. It was awful. And the thing about that too, the Depo is, they say it lasts a year, but to take a dose of something one time and for it to be able to last that long on your body, like, that
What is that
Like,
doing?
that is crazy. And for her, she's like, it's awful. Mood swings. She said no sex drive whatsoever. Like, just crazy shit. Like, oh, apparently, like, this is how it fucking works. Because you're definitely not gonna get pregnant,
If you don't want to have sex.
Exactly.
That's
I'm
one
just
way to kill it.
like, that's.
Types of birth control. There are three main kinds of birth control pills: combined estrogen, progesterone, progestin only, and continuous or extended cycle pills. There are many varieties of each type of pill, from brand names to generic, with dosing available in 28, 90, or 365-day active pills. So there are different pills. I want to say there's hundreds for some reason.
There's like hundreds of brands, probably.
Well, and you have to think that, are they just, handing the shit out like candy? You come in, and then they just give you whatever one they think might work best. How many people are actually getting a dose that would be beneficial for their body?
Well, the thing is like that you don't know. It's really like trial and error. You go in, a place will have like a set, usually have like a set, standard birth control, whatever they have in the office or the clinic, wherever it is, or like wherever you're trying to get. If you go in with the basis, if you've already done your research and you know like what kind you're looking for as far as the pill goes, cool, you ask for them to prescribe something like that. But if you just say I want oral contraceptive, they're just going to prescribe you whatever they see is best or whatever they're getting some kind of whatever benefits them to prescribe to you.
And I can't imagine it's a one size fits all. That approach is not
it's like you go in there, this one's not working, or like, this one's giving me chronic headaches, or like, I just don't feel okay taking this one. Okay, that's fine. They'll just give you a new one. They just send you something else,
Let's try this one for a little bit.
Yeah, you just don't really know. Like, they don't really know, They're just trying to give you something that's doing what you're asking, and that's making sure you don't get pregnant. They're not really caring about the side effects. That's on you to decide if the side effects are too much.
So what made you get off that? You didn't like the side effects?
No. I felt crazy. I was like, maybe I'm just crazy, or maybe it's this, but we won't know until I eliminate something. So it's on the pill. I was getting chronic, like for example, headaches, like all the time. Be like, oh, you're not drinking enough water. Oh, you're not doing this. You're not doing that. I'm like, I can only drink so much fucking water at this point. Like, it's not
the water.
It's not the water. I'm sorry. Or maybe it is the water that I'm drinking. But it's just, I just didn't feel, And at first I was like, okay, but honestly, and that wasn't until I got the armbar. I got
What is the armbar?
The Nexplanon. It's basically, it's like I'm trying to see like the size of it. So like,
pull that shit up.
Yeah, they're like this long. And
the armbar. This is a contraceptive?
Yeah, it's called Nexplanon. It's a little plasticky, weird material. It's a very flexible thing, but it's a bar about this long, and so just like that, right there. And basically, they just it goes inside a big, like, kind of like gun type thing, like a big hollow needle, and they just shoot it into your arm. It's like a shot, but then they leave the bar in there.
Oh, click on that picture in the lower right hand corner.
That's how it looks like
arm.
getting
Jesus.
surgically removed. When they surgically remove it, it's but yeah, basically it goes in this thing and they put it up against your arm and shove it in, and it injects the bar into place in your arm.
So they just shoot this plastic rod into your arm.
Yep.
And it slowly releases the hormones, or?
Yeah. When I first got it, at the time I'd gotten it, they said it's good for 3 years.
And so what is the purpose of that? You just wouldn't have to take a pill each day?
It's just there. It's just there, and you don't get pregnant. But the thing is when I first got it, it was good for 3 years. And then after about 2 years of me having it, the same exact brand all of a sudden just said, oh, it's actually good for 5 years. So I'm like, okay. So
who's testing this?
What's happening? What is the amount that's really, how is it releasing? Is it a consistent amount? And it's just, and then I just realized, I was like, why? I was getting to a point where I don't want anything in me.
How old were you when you were put on that?
I got on that on my own.
You chose to do that?
Yes. This is right after high school in Santa Rosa. I got it at the JC. I was just I'm tired of taking these pills, giving me headaches. and I don't want to like, that fear of like, oh, what if I forget? So I just say, I'll just do the bar. It's a one time boom. And, it's one of those things where it's not the depot shot. So, if I don't want it in me, I'm going to have it taken out type thing. I didn't want anything that I couldn't like
pull back out
type thing. So I was like, you know what, I'll go get it. And then I just kind of felt, I was heavier. I was just unhappy.
Not doing good.
I was also in a really bad relationship, but I was also just, like, obviously, that plays a huge factor, but there's just a lot of things going on where I was like, reading, doing research and stuff. And I was like, I don't want anything in me. I was like, whether it's the birth control or not, I was like, I don't feel balanced. I don't feel right. I don't feel good. And I was like, why am I taking this? Like, okay, yeah, I don't get pregnant. Okay, but that's not really like there's so many ways to just not get pregnant. Like, it's not the end of the world. So I was like, I don't want this in me. And I took it out. And
so they have to surgically cut it.
Yeah, they'll make an incision. They made an incision enough, and then they squeeze and pop it up and pull it out. And after, like a year later, I was like at my thinnest. I was doing better.
Did it take a full year for you to feel like you again once that was removed?
I feel like noticeably, like to be like, wow, like when I reflected back on it. But I also, went through life changes. I pretty much got rid of the arm bar, got rid of the loser I was with.
That's such a crazy name. The arm bar. We're gonna give you the arm bar.
but yeah, I was
That is so crazy to name it that.
That's just what girls, and I guess that's not like, maybe just, it must be like a term amongst women, but like, when you say like, oh, I had like birth control, you said, oh, I had the little arm bar, they know what you're talking about. But
the arm bar, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Like a legitimate UFC arm bar we're putting people into. Why would you name it that?
Take those little spermies out, man.
For a contraceptive, we're arm barring babies?
For real.
We're arm barring the sperm. Jesus.
But yeah.
I don't know. The argument, right? Nobody wants anybody to get pregnant before they're ready. So you understand it at that level, especially as kids, right?
Like,
don't you normally get put on it at like 13?
It's like this. Like, I feel like, and it's not even just that, but I feel like it's a very cliche thing. Like, daughters of single women are like, oh my God, like, are you having sex? Okay, we're getting you on birth control. Like, off the bat. And don't get me wrong, there's birth control, it has its benefits for some people. There's some people, people that have like really bad painful periods or like irregular, super never like no breaks. Birth control's, been a thing that's, came into people's lives and helped them, or like
as a regulator.
As a regulator to relieve like, their periods, changed and altered with those hormones for some reason, but yeah, as far as like the pressure of like, oh, like it's on the woman to make sure she doesn't get pregnant. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that is weird. As a guy, we don't really have.
Yeah, like you're not like you don't. You're out
here. You pull out or you don't. Yes.
That's what I'm saying. And it's like you stick around or you don't. Like no biggie. Like it's just like yeah, it's. I think it's very as a woman, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm not, like, I'm not, like, I refuse. There's a point I was like, I refuse any longer to feel pressure to need to hormonally put myself off balance.
But then were you scared about going off? Was the fear of getting pregnant, did that then become, no, you weren't worried about it?
I know how a baby's made. I don't know why men act shocked like they don't either.
I was going to say, we're going to go into a part where it's going to make me look really stupid. But isn't there only a certain point in ovulation where they can get pregnant? I was going to say, okay, here we go. Because I don't know about that.
It is not as easy as it is to get pregnant. It is not that easy to get pregnant. There is such a small window of when you're really like say like your cycle, average cycle is like, 26, 28 days, like cycle starts over when you start bleeding, right? So educational here.
I knew that part. I just
so yeah, average span of, that's about 5 days or so, 5 days to a week. Of
bleeding.
Yeah. And then, there's like that recover like period of about like maybe like, pretty wide range. So I'm not exactly sure, like 7 to 11 days or something like that. I don't really know, but like that's when I'd say like day 14. Let's say like day 15 of your cycle or something, 14. That's when you're gonna ovulate. Okay, so that is the highest point of fertility. Like that you're gonna like when you're like ovulating, the day you ovulate, that's your highest chance to get pregnant. And then after that, it's still a high chance. Like a couple days after that, it's still like a higher chance to get pregnant. Then after like that 3 day window, it becomes like a lower chance, least likely to get pregnant. So you could possibly get pregnant a few days before ovulation, just because sperm what lives can live a few days inside, and you ovulate when Buddy's still there. You're like, hey, let me move on in, But
Doors open.
yeah, exactly. Like, oh, they just pop house for rent. Let me get up in there.
This is
right?
a great. We should
But-
put this as a sex ed moment right here.
But
This should
then,
be in every school.
But yeah, like just like that one day. So like that one day is like the all-time high. Like yeah.
But what are we talking about when it drops down and you're out of that
when it
period?
drops down, I'd say
Like
after,
a 99% chance that you wouldn't?
Yeah, like the egg is only viable probably for like, I'd say for sure, like average wise, maybe like for sure like 3 days, 3 to 4 days maybe. After that, it's kind of questionable. Like I'm not saying you can't, it's really, people are regular. There's small chances of everything. Nothing is like completely off the table, but like on average and high percentages and like really risk factor, like the average is it's just not going to happen. Like after those like few days of you ovulating. Once you ovulate, that's the release in the egg, and then the egg stays only good for like a few days, and then it's setting up to kind of clear itself out, and your cycle again starts over. That's you expelling. Your like menstrual like bleeding is you expelling the previous egg.
See, when I was a slightly younger man, I used to think if you just nutted in a girl, that's it. You're now a dad. She's gonna be pregnant.
Like people say, oh, like people like, oh, you have, not that you would. I think it's people you do it on the period. It's not gonna like you can't get pregnant. But it's like that's such a small percentage. Like yeah, ideally no, like you're not gonna get pregnant probably during that time.
But you still could.
But there's very small percentage of those women that are irregular, or women that like double release eggs, or you just don't know. Like there's that weird, something. Like there's something like in this world you really just don't know. But like the common, like overall, like that's just the basis of like that's the cycle, that's the lining up point. Like there's windows and time frames. So yeah, it's very easy to get pregnant, but finding that window is what matters. It's like that's what's gonna like that's why like you can't just always get pregnant. Like a woman can't just at all times just get pregnant. Like we can only get pregnant during like a certain like window, so yeah, like if you don't know, like the people ask you, like I track my cycle. It's like I always know like what's good, so it's one of those things where some women don't. Some women aren't even like aware. They're taught. There's a lot of things that's scary. How many women like don't know how the female body operates because whether they're raised by a mom that's tells them like, oh no, like you don't talk about anything like that, or they're with a single dad, or like the fear of just don't have sex because you'll get pregnant and die, like that's it. Like that's it. Like there's no education around it, and there's still a lot of unknowns about the female reproductive system and like the female body. Like there's just so much that like women don't know, let alone men.
Yeah, God forbid us. We're not gonna be any help.
And the thing, and there is men that are out there and educated, but
there's a lot more that aren't.
Yeah, a lot more.
So, not to get too personal here, but you and your boyfriend, are you guys using protection?
We use condoms.
Okay.
I mean, he's so scared, which I understand.
As a guy, that's one of my biggest fears. That's one of my biggest fears.
As a man, like his fear is like, I can't because I'm not ready. Like I can't take care of this, and like that's totally understandable. Like I respect him, like love him to death, and I think some men just and some men just like they need to, because there's no way in hell they know. Some men just don't know how to pull out. They just don't.
I don't believe in that. I don't believe in the pull-out method. I think it's It's just not real. That's
You
Andy's over here dying.
You struggle? You
I
struggle?
I don't struggle. I can do it, but here's the thing. It's first off, no condom. It's no contest. It's way better. It just is.
Oh,
which,
yeah.
Which sucks.
Yeah,
Because if
no,
it was
it
better
sucks.
with a condom, everybody's using a condom.
Oh, yeah.
And we're
It's
controlling
not.
that shit.
It's not. No, don't get me wrong.
But
There's sometimes I'm like,
condom
I'm
off.
fucking serious.
Wearing a condom is like
Yeah.
eating ice cream with a bag over it. Like you're not even getting any of it. You're just like
It's like wearing a condom's like enjoying anything good with a bag over it.
Yeah,
Okay?
what are you doing? You're not even really there. You're not eating the ice cream. You're not enjoying it. But that fear, and maybe it does stem from some protective aspect of being able to provide for your child, but especially because I'm a single guy,
and the thing
getting
is,
a girl pregnant is a huge fear.
yeah. Also, but another thing that I hate about condoms is like one of the same reasons why like the thing like I'm super weird about tampons. Like I only buy like organic cotton unbleached no add like tampons because I'm not about to put all those chemicals up in my hoo-ha, you know? And you could imagine what the hell a condom was coated with, you know?
Well, and going back to that,
Google this. Do condoms
this is Andy's comment. Wearing a condom is like drinking a LaCroix, which is terrible. Sparkling water is just dog shit. But where I was going with that was pull-out game. And I think this is relatable as a guy. You always run into that girl that is, yeah, I'm on the pill, just, you don't need to pull out. And as a man, there's that split second where you think, man, should I? And
so you just crush up. That's when you make them breakfast the next morning.
see, you can say that. If I say that, that's a problem. I'm glad you said that. But and there's pre-cum. I've heard that you can actually get pregnant from pre-cum. It carries enough sperm where you can legitimately get pregnant. It's just too. It freaks me out.
Maybe if you like directly took it and like just put it
in like a turkey baster.
But let me tell you something. There's just no way that little bit of pre-cum is just gonna make its way there. I mean, it's not impossible.
What are we Googling here, Andy? What do we got on this?
Let's Google, do condoms contribute to ovarian cancer? Or uterine cancer?
Well, there have been horror stories of people getting condoms stuck inside.
Oh, yeah. There's all kinds of things you can get stuck in there. You know?
Why? That is an interesting argument, the idea that the contraceptive... I guess the nature of contraceptives really is placed on women. I've heard people kind of biting back on that men should have some pill they have to take.
Well, the thing is like you hear these stories where like, oh, they were doing a male birth control study, but then they had to stop it because men were complaining about
hormonal
imbalances and, you know, chest discomfort. And I'm like, yeah.
All these side effects.
I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you could imagine like how the fuck we feel. Like the hormonal effects of just having a period every month is already so much on the body. Like, y'all ever just Google the symptoms of a period?
You know, I haven't. That's not exactly something I do in my pastime.
You go ahead. No, go ahead and Google.
Wait, what is this you got here? The Chemical and Veterinary Investigation Institute in Stuttgart said on Friday it had found the carcinogen N-nitrosamine in 29 of 32 types of condoms it tested in simulated conditions. The condoms, which were kept in a solution with artificial sweat, exuded huge amounts of cancer-causing N-nitrosamine from its rubber coating. Researchers measured the amounts of N-nitrosamine that were above the prescribed limits for other rubber products as baby pacifiers. There's a pressing need for manufacturers to tackle this problem. Yeah, I mean, that ties back into our food, you know, how much shit are we using that is just terrible for us?
Cancer isn't like, everything causes cancer these days, but I'm just like...
They found that in Skittles, pull this shit up, they found that in Skittles the coloring is a cancer-causing chemical. Oh, yeah. They call it a forever chemical. And it's just for the coloring of Skittles.
All these dyes and shit in foods.
I had a lot of Skittles as kids. Oh, God, as a kid. Not as
sour
kid.
Skittles.
A California man is suing the company that makes Skittles for including an additive in its candy permitted by U.S. law but banned in Europe due to a possible link to cancer, the lawsuit claims. I'm pretty sure they found that it was a real thing. This might be something separate, a lawsuit about it, but freaking Google, so I don't know. Contraceptive is weird. I heard that they were working on something for men. I read an article that they had some light switch type thing where you could flip it on and off if you wanted it. But I mean, we really only have condoms. That's all we bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about the abortion topic?
I feel like that's I mean,
Where do you go with that?
like why is it even like a topic other than just being discussed as a normal health procedure? Like it shouldn't be like like when somebody asks you like how do you feel about chemotherapy? I know it's not the same thing, but it's like in your mind you're not like, oh, like someone's like, if God put cancer in your body, like God do what he sees fit. Like I'm
That
sorry.
would be so crazy.
Like I'm sorry, but like
to come out and say that.
so I'm
You
sorry.
are the
I know that's
cancer.
so like I know that's harsh. Like I didn't like that's I'm sick, okay? But it's just one of those things where I'm like, hey, you know, like nobody's saying that shit.
Well, that's actually a great point. Nobody would want somebody to have to use chemotherapy, but
Yeah.
we're glad that it's there.
Yeah.
And if you need it, you should use it.
Yeah. We're like obviously like abortions aren't like a soft topic. But at the same time, like it shouldn't be like
I don't get why anybody cares.
it shouldn't matter.
There's a weird line because at some point it is definitely a kid.
Yeah.
Like at 9 months, if we're aborting him, it gets dicey.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, 3 months in, is that okay? The idea that you just can't, and so now you have to have the child,
No.
is a weird. It's a weird concept for me.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where like I'm like no shame. Like I've had one.
You've had an abortion.
Yeah. And look at me right now. The fuck, like I would have had a 1-year-old. Like what part of that? Like
That
what,
is so. Is that crazy saying that?
What part of me looks like no part of me isn't even in a position to even like be parenting anything. Like I have a dog. That's
I don't even
enough.
think I could do a dog right now.
And that's enough. Like
Yeah.
I don't even know what to do with her half the time. I'm like, girl, you know. Sometimes I'm like, did I fuck up as an owner? So I'm literally sitting there. I'm like, did I, maybe I could have like trained her better. Did I really train her? What could I have done? You know, like did I fuck up as a dog mom? And like I'm sitting here, I'm like, girl, you would have had some problems. You know. So it's one of those things. It's like I had no business being a parent. Could I admit it happened? Yeah. Could I have, sucked it up and figured it out? Yeah. But at what cost? That, like, at that child's well-being, my well-being, my family's well-being, feeling pressure to probably need to help me because at the end of the day, like, they're not going to want to just leave me
They're not gonna want to see
stranded.
you struggle.
You know, like, the way that would have changed and altered so many lives. And, of course, not talking about, generational traumas and, like, I'm working through a lot of shit right now that I'm just not ready to raise another life and feel like I can contribute in like the best way possible. I don't think that there is a unborn fragment of cells floating around this universe somewhere, wanting to damn me to hell because I didn't bring it to this planet. Like I don't think, and I don't think twice. I don't think another thing of it. And not that I don't care. Like, does it kind of like? I think it overwhelms me sometimes, like emotionally, just thinking about like, whoa, like that could have been. But my best friend, she has a 1-year-old.
And then you snap back real quick. You're like, thank God.
And like I spend a couple minutes, with him, and I'm like, God, like I love you, but like she's in a better position, and she wanted that. Where I'm looking, I'm like, I would have been different. I wouldn't have had the support from a husband like she does. I wouldn't have had, you know, a lot of those things, like the family, I just feel like it's important to, I personally feel like if I chose to have that child, that would have been selfish of me.
Because you weren't in that place where you
Because
could really
I'm not in a
provide.
place to provide that baby with anything.
Was it hard coming to that decision though?
It was.
But you knew it was the right thing to do.
Overall, I knew. Overall, I knew, but like in that moment, you're kind of like, shit, like, but like, what if? Like, what if I do this? But it's like, you got to get past that little idea of like, oh, I have a baby, like a little baby, to like, I was once a baby. I was once one of those little cute things that people like, oh, like I want one, like so cute, like I just want to, like we're not, it's not forever. It's not forever that stage. It's not. Then I'm like, gosh, like I think about now, sometimes I go back and forth. I'm like, do I even want kids? I feel like this planet and like where we're at now, like it's stressful. Like people like, oh, like don't be so dramatic. Like things have always been hard. Like think about the people that had kids during the Great Depression, all that. I'm like, yeah, but the world wasn't melting too at the same time. Like, or maybe it was. We just didn't realize it, and now it's like it's very noticeable now. What is life gonna be like in 20 years? And I get it that like no matter how much time goes, it's always gonna be a question. What's life gonna be like in the next 20 years? But it's like, do I want to contribute to that? Do I want to think about, something that I dearly, truly love and care about and like stress over every second of the day and like what it's gonna be like in this world for them? Like, am I ready for that? No. And, maybe one day I will be, maybe I'll accept it and I might be in a position to like, be able to handle that pressure because I can at least take care of them up until that point when they're on their own. But I know right now for sure, especially like, over a year ago, like that wouldn't,
It wasn't gonna work.
that wasn't even like, no, I was just up that was like right before I moved away, I was like, I'm trying to move away and be on my own. That's hard enough. And then I'm like, find this out. And I'm like, oh shit, like hell no. Like no way in hell. No way in hell. And I'm okay with that, it doesn't bother me. I made the decision that I needed to make. And that was my right. I had the right to make that decision, just like everybody else. And anybody who's like, oh, like you should, like I don't, who am I hurting? What did I hurt in the process? Like the baby was unwanted by one side already, and if like I don't want it, then like what am I gonna do? Have this baby that like nobody wants?
Yeah, and what does that do to the
Not
kid?
like I would not. I'm not saying like, oh, like I would have just neglected it, but it's like, a little bit of resentment,
And it makes a difference, right?
Yeah.
If you don't want a kid and then
Yeah.
you're forced to have one.
Yeah.
That's not a great life for the kid to come up
safe.
in.
I'm like, people don't understand. I'm like, what, people, you take away the right for somebody to just safely get rid of something before it's actually an issue. You make them go through with that. There's a lot worse outcomes that you're looking at, like the health of that person, what they're gonna do, the desperation of what they're gonna do to try to get rid of what their problem is. It's just, yeah, it's doing more harm than good, like 100%.
There is that sentiment that you're not going to ban abortions, you're just going to ban safe abortions.
Oh yeah, no, 100%, because it already was a thing. It already happened. That's already been.
It is weird that we're back at this battle.
I'm like, this is like, we saw like, I'm like, all these rich people, I'm like, you know what, like, I'm like, as much as I don't, like, I just, like, the sick, sadistic person in me is all like, you know what, all you motherfuckers who want to ban abortions or like act like you have any like right over a woman's body like that, like I hope you have daughters that get pregnant and don't want them and they do what they need to do. I hope you go through that and you see that shit, because like seriously, it's like, it's so selfish. Like you don't.
Well, it doesn't affect people that have money.
Well, no, because they're gonna make it happen anyways.
They're gonna go to a different state.
They're gonna go and do whatever they need to do. They're gonna pay the doctor to the table to do it regardless because they can. But it's just that they know who can't pay a doctor under the table. They're targeting. It's obvious, but like, in the name of Jesus Christ, let's not.
It's so weird. It's so weird that this is an issue. It almost sounds cheesy talking about it.
Yeah.
That we're going back to this one.
Yeah. But hey, I feel like I don't think it can go, I don't think it can't be, it's not going to be a national thing.
No, you mean every state
It's
doing it?
just, I just don't see how that's going to happen.
No, I don't think so. I think the farthest it would go would just be let the states decide. But still, if you're in a
Which is
state
still
that decides,
unfortunate.
yeah, if you're in a state that
But
decides we're not doing abortions and you don't have any money to go out of state, you're fucked.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
That is
yeah.
so crazy.
Yeah, it's like it's like, yeah. Yeah, so my stance on abortion is
Let them happen.
it's just a thing that needs to be around. Like,
One way I think the argument is always, well, you should put that child up for adoption. But what kind of life is that? Look at all the kids in foster care that are just molested, malnourished, not taken care of. What kind of life is that? You want to subject another child to that?
yeah.
It is such a weird time.
Yeah.
With all the shit, all the politics, all the strife just
Mhm.
amongst everyday people, and the fact we've got this situation with Ukraine and Russia and China, and we're just going back and fighting old battles
Yeah.
because we don't have enough shit to worry about.
Yeah. That, no, honestly, that, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It's entertainment. It's just like, what else can we do? People, all those higher ups just sitting there fucking twiddling their thumbs and just torturing because we have so much money, we have nothing else to do with it other than pay to watch people suffer, because why not?
Do you think that's what it is? People just
I think
are
people
bored?
get so, honestly, it could just be that simple.
It feels
So
like it's
desensitized, so like they have all this money,
just
they've
cut
had
off.
everything, just so like when you just have everything, like you just feel so like, how would you not? Like it's like they probably feel godly in a sense to where I could do whatever I want because they feel like they just have control. There's nothing above them to stop them. There's nothing they can get
They
away
can
with
create
it.
it. Yeah.
What else? How far? It's almost like not even like they intentionally. Like I don't think anybody's born really like aware of like evil and all this, but it's just like to a point where they have so much money or something that I've done this already. I've done this. Like, how far can I take it? Like, what else can I do? Like, what can I get away with? Like, I think that, yeah, it's just, you just keep pushing that envelope of like, like, I'm just do this now. And I'm gonna, like, I already, I fucked this up a little bit and got away with it. I wonder if I could do this and get, like, it's just like that power. Like, it doesn't matter how they get it. It's just to know that they can. They probably just really enjoy that.
I think some of it is the dying breath of the hold of religion on the country.
That.
In some regards. I mean, our country was pretty religious, and now I think most people aren't. And it's like it's trying to reach back out and pull us. Not necessarily, I don't think it's religion's fault. I think people use religion to justify some terrible things. And I think abortion is one of those. The idea that you get a say over somebody else's life because what you believe affects that. That because I believe this, you should act in this way. And I don't know if that's I think it's just the interpretation of some people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's powerful enough where it got to the Supreme Court. I mean, the idea that this isn't, it's not at least somewhat tied to religion is a
I'm just
joke.
like, yeah, and as far as like something being religion, it's like religion, I feel like overall, like regardless of what religion is, it's based off of your lifestyle and what we as people, what the decisions we make and how we choose to live our lives. And nowhere in any of these does it say, I feel like, equals, like human to human, get to control what the other person does. Like at the end of the day, if we're all trying to like religiously like make the right decisions and live our lives, you know, how like what is supposed to be the righteous way or whatever it is, I believe then that is solely our personal own duty to make our own decisions with what we do with ourselves and our body and our life choices. And everybody else should be doing the same and making their own, you know, decisions and personal choices with themselves. And just, you know, focus on you, do what you feel is right, and be kind to others. And nowhere in that does you like do you get to like have control over another human being. Nowhere over that do you get to tell another human being what they get to do, because at the end of the day, you're not the one you don't get to tell these people, like you're not a higher up. You're not somebody that's going to like heaven and hell. Like you're not God. You're not gonna tell this person they can't do this because oh they're gonna go to hell. Because at the end of the day, if there's someone telling them they're going to hell, right, that you believe, you're not the one making that decision. There's a higher up, somebody above you, who's also going to be telling you where you're going as well. So who are you to tell anybody else like what they should be doing, like your God? Who are you to make such strong decisions about somebody else's body who you have no other like power over in this realm? You know? So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, like, oh, you know, you're killing a life, blah blah blah, but I'm like, it's not your place to judge me on that. It's not your end of decision to decide what happens to me after this lifetime for making this decision that I made, regardless. So, regardless of your religion or whatever, I still think it's all a bunch of bullshit that people still think in the name of religion. This needs to be law. This needs to be that. Like, it just doesn't, it's not how it works. At least personally. And I know that's an opinion, but that's not how it works to me.
It definitely can be used as another method to control people.
So it's...
And you have prime examples of that, where people use that and say, you have to do this because of this, because you'll go to hell. Mm-hmm. But I don't know where we go from here. I don't know what happens.
Exactly.
And I don't know, I mean, even at a micro level, I don't know what happens with, you know, where we go as a country. It seems like we're just in a weird spot in life, and everybody's on shaky ground, and COVID, you know, messed a lot of people up, and nobody wants to talk about that. And now we've got all this shit. Part of me thinks it'd be great to just unplug, go get a ranch somewhere far away, and just live out a quiet, peaceful life. And then part of me feels as though you should try to fight for the country and try to help people. And I'm naive enough to think that people can still make a difference. Mm-hmm. But time and time you see that, no, nobody does. They all get into politics and they start doing whatever and cutting deals with the devil to do whatever.
And I feel like the best thing at this point that anybody could do is more so... I'm kind of at, like, we're kind of where I'm at. Like, homestead and family, like, on my own, contributing to my health and trying to be, you know, more sustainable. Trying to be, at this point, I'm like more so like, you know, fuck the people. Like,
just trying to find peace.
What about the environment? What about, you know, finding my peace and just living how I need to live without, you know, taking more than what I need to take? It's like, there's so many, at this point, I'm just like, oh, like yeah, like obviously like take care of your people. Like I'm a person too, you know, like I'm a human. Like we should want to take care of each other, but at the same time, like I'm not gonna waste my time taking care of people that, you know, aren't gonna put in the same effort. It's
like try to save everyone or try to save yourself.
Yeah. unless sacrificing myself is gonna save many, many, many people, I'm not gonna hold my breath over all these others. I'm just not. Absolutely not. I'll take care of mine. I'm always willing to help and show kindness, and I'm always, I want, like, ideally, I try to give people benefit of the doubt, and I really do that. But sometimes, feel like that's reckless of me to do those things.
It's draining.
It's so draining.
It could be said that it's reckless, but it definitely is draining.
Yeah.
You lose a piece of yourself each time you try to pull someone up and they pull you down.
Yep. And that's the battle for me, for sure. So, yeah, I think, I think politics really drain me.
I think it drains everybody. Even if you are corrupt and you go into it just to come out on top, it's still going to take away from you.
Yeah. I'm not really, I'm not going to lie. I'm not one of those people that reads up on the worldly issues. I don't sit there and, I don't read every, hot topic of the world. I'm not keeping up with the UN. I'm not doing any of that. Should I?
I don't think so. I think life is, personally, in your own life, I think you will be happier if you're not that connected. But if we all disconnect, shit's just gonna hit the fan. That's what I always struggle with. I think in your own life you would be happier just unplugging and doing the ranch, and you might have a great life. You probably would. It would be more peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens to the country if we all do that? That's my constant battle.
Yeah.
Is, do you want to be the one dying on the cross to try to help people, or do you want to get out while you can? It's tough.
Yeah,
It's tough.
it is hard. It's really just like, as soon as you just think like, okay, like that's me. I'm like, okay, I'll just, am I going to be content? Like, you tried so hard to like, just be like, you know what? Nah, like this is fine. But I feel like we're really just trying to convince ourselves that it's fine and that we don't care.
Have you seen that meme of the dog in the burning house?
All the time.
It's
oh
like,
my God. I reference that to everything.
Pull
I'm
that
like,
shit up. We gotta
I'm
see
so
that.
okay.
It's like, I'm fine. Oh, that's my favorite meme. This is fine, and he's just sitting in a
like,
burning
this is
house
me.
with a cup of coffee.
Everything's on fire around you, and yeah.
I think that's everybody right now.
That's literally...
We're all just sitting in a burning house thinking, it's gonna be okay. And it really might not be.
Yeah.
Well, Raine, we can end it there. You are awesome. We've done 2 hours. We can get out of this joint. Do you have anything you want to plug? Your social media stuff? Definitely don't have to. Some people plug, some people don't.
Go ahead, plug. 11 Rainy Days is my Instagram. Well, I guess it's 11_rainy_days. But you can, I don't know how you do that. But yeah, it was a great time. Thank you.
Yeah, it was awesome. Now that you're in town, we'll have to do this again.
Yeah, no, I'm down.
Back on.
For sure.
Awesome. All right, and we're out.